Well, hello. What we have here is the humble 1/48 scale AMT ERTL Naboo Starfighter. That's the N1 Naboo Starfighter from the Phantom Menace. I remember back in 1996, 1997, they previewed the concept art, and I immediately fell in love with it. The concept artwork was done by Doug Chang and Associates. It's a really lovely design, harking back to perhaps what could be considered a high renaissance in the history of the Star Wars universe and of indeed Naboo society as it was then portrayed. I've always liked this design. I've always found it especially elegant, very, very beautiful, very, very sleek. This kit is a snap kit. It can be glued, and I have built one of these previously, and I have glued it. I've not just relied on the friction technology to hold it together, because over time that's just going to come apart. But of the time back in 1999 when I first bought this kit, it was, it was just, it's a nice size, it's a beautiful design. I actually have five of these kits. You know, two I bought myself back in the day, and then another two which a friend had gifted to me. So
Out of the box, what
yeah,
do we have?
we'll be back in a
We
moment.
have pre-coloured plastic styrene. This is basically the fuselage of the N1. We also have a base, plastic base for it to stand on. It is actually quite a detailed little model. I'm not sure if I want to particularly open this bag, as I've not started this kit yet. It's going to be a little while before I start this one, but just bear with. Just tell you what, I will open it just for the viewers. So we get the main fuselage of the N1, and we get the stand, as I was just saying, and these are the front parts, or the bow section of the N1, and these are the engine cowlings. And underneath and a little bit on top, you get the chrome finish that's associated with the Naboo aesthetic. It's an aspect or an aesthetic that's carried through to the main ships of the Naboo, like the Royal Starship or the Consular ship that you see in Episode 2, The Attack of the Clones. And then in Episode 3 with Padme's skiff. So the Naboo aesthetic is really quite consistent in terms of design within the Star Wars universe. So all this is basically a snap fit kit. It snaps together, and you can leave it as this colour, or you can paint over it. Personally, I've built one of these before, and I've stripped the silver, and I've primed the whole fuselage, and I've painted it. But we'll get onto that in a minute. So yes, you've got pre-coloured plastic, and you've got a chromed fuselage and engine nacelle or nacelle finish, which is really quite nice. And it's a shame to destroy it, but if you want to make something that looks slightly authentic and less toy-like, I'm afraid it's something that will have to be sacrificed also. But yes, you get a wee glass canopy. This has to be masked off. The frame is very, very thin, so when painting that has to be masked off very, very carefully. I'll put that to one side. And here, get this in focus, you have a decal set. It's a very, very minimalist decal set. But in terms of decals or written details on the Naboo Starfighter itself, it's very minimalist. So these decals are pretty much it. There are some aspects of the decal set that's missing, because the engine nacelles have red warning strips, which this set does not have, which is a shame, but it's something I suppose can be painted on, or you can make your own decals and add that to the finished model. With the kit you get a comprehensive there we go, instruction sheet. It's pretty straightforward, it's pretty neat in terms of its layout. Nothing that you can't understand in terms of following the instructions. It's pretty straightforward and uncomplicated, which is nice. It gives you a painting guide for the Anakin Skywalker pilot figure and a painting guide for R2-D2, who sits in the back. It would have been nice if you had an alternate pilot with this kit, a Naboo Starfighter pilot, but ERTL's or AMT's focus was Anakin Skywalker, and I suppose that was their selling point on this. But the figure itself is a nice figure. Paints up nicely. It's nicely detailed. Let's have a look on the other side of this instruction sheet. Let's fold this over. So there we go. You've got the assembly of the main fuselage and the engine nacelles, and you have the decal placement instructions. So yeah, pretty straightforward in terms of in terms of
actually this is turning out to be something of a two-part, perhaps three-part mini review, as in 2012 the Japanese company Finemolds produced a 1/72 scale N1 Naboo Starfighter model kit. Having seen the promotions, it generated something of how can I say, excitement. I was excited because, having bought Finemolds Star Wars models previously, I was looking forward to the high level of precision and detail that's associated with Finemolds. But but upon receiving the model, I was in for a wee surprise, and "we" being the operative
oh my
word,
was
so
my
to speak, as will be revealed
initial
shortly.
reaction when I opened the box. I thought, oh, 1/72 scale. This ship is really quite tiny compared to the other vessels in the Star Wars universe. It's funny that
on screen you don't really appreciate the scales because these ships aren't actually lined up together, so you don't get to measure them side by side on screen because everything's in perpetual motion. But once once you get the kit and you're able then to compare and contrast, yes, this kit turned out to be quite quite dinky. Uh, I was a little bit disappointed. I mean, not hugely disappointed, but I was a little bit disappointed because the ERTL AMT or the AMT ERTL version of the Naboo Starfighter was substantially larger at 138. I think it's 130. Or was it 130? No, 148 scale. Get my scales correct. Yeah, so the AMT ERTL model kit is, I'd say, 2 times larger than this. Yeah, but this kit is still phenomenally detailed. Now, this I'm not going to take out of its packaging because I'm not ready yet to get cracking on with it. But as you can see, the details are more pronounced, especially with regards to the cannon emplacement. They're quite deeply recessed. The model is grey and yellow, so you don't have to worry about stripping off the silver to apply a coating or several coats of Allclad, which I have used. Allclad is a great metallic paint, but it's temperamental if you're not careful. This kit also comes with a base. The base is part of the Naboo Starfighter feed palace hangar. You also get a set of decals for the starship, and you get a set of decals for your alternate R2 astromech units. So again, this kit has been really well thought out. There are more pieces to it than the ERTL kit. But whereas the ERTL kit is designed with simplicity in mind, this kit is more or less designed for the intermediate to the more advanced modeler. There's a lot of recessed areas and undercuts. The engine nacelles slot into each other with undercuts, whereas the AMT ERTL one doesn't have any of these features. The nacelles, apart from the pylons at the rear, are all pretty much self-contained, whereas the Finemolds Naboo Starfighter is, you have several pieces to build the engine nacelles. And also with the Finemolds kit you get an alternate pilot. So you have the Anakin Skywalker pilot, you have a Naboo feed palace Starfighter pilot as well. Is quite how can I put it, quite extensive, because as I said, it's a model kit that that has more to it than the MT. So get my words out. It's a model kit that has more to it than the AMT version. As previously mentioned, the nacelles, for example, have more than 2 or 3 parts, and everything's undercut and recessed for a greater realism. As you look at the instructions, you can see how everything goes together, slots together. It's almost like a snap fit kit. Finemolds have really designed this kit very well, but then again, all of Finemolds kits are designed beautifully. And to be perfectly honest, if I am truly honest, I would prefer a Finemold kit to a Bandai kit, because Bandai kits are just way too fiddly. And there's an aspect of them, if you don't paint them, they're always going to look and feel a bit toy-like. And I suppose that's Bandai's principal line, really. Toys, not model kits. I mean, they do model kits, but I feel that Finemolds have done model kits better. And as a modeler, I appreciate Finemold kits more. I feel I feel they're more dynamic, and you've got more options, and you've got more, not playability, but they're more pliable in terms of how they go together. Whereas Bandai kits are a little bit like Lego. You put them together and they're just pretty much immovable. So Bandai, I mean, for example, the Bandai Slave 1 is more accurate than the Finemolds Slave 1. But the Finemolds Slave 1, the 1/72nd scale Slave 1, is huge. And any hour of the day, any TikTok of the hour, just give me a Finemolds Slave 1. I mean, I did have 4 originally. I sold 2, but I've got the Jango Fett version, I've got the Boba Fett version, which at some point I'm going to build and do a review on. But yes, here we go. On the other side, you have the complete starship. You have the color guide, you have the decal placement guide, and you also see the base where the Naboo Starfighter is parked up in feed hangar. Yeah, beautiful instructions, Finemolds. Just something to be admired. There's a certain artistry to it, or to their instructions, I should say. Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I said this was going to be a mini review of
Be back in a minute.
the N1 Naboo Starfighter model kit. It turns out to be a bit of a mini review of the AMT ERTL and the Finemolds, which was something I wasn't really anticipating, but just sort of organically happened. Now, a few years ago, I actually built this kit, and I actually have 5 of these kits, this one included. Back in the day, I bought myself 2, and a few years ago, I was gifted 2 by a friend. So, having bought the Finemolds kit back in 2012, which is a good 10 years ago now, blimey, that's gone by quickly. I've ended up with 5 kits I've got to get seriously building. So yes, I've ended up with 5 kits, and this is a kit I've built back in 2005. So this kit is getting on in terms of the actual build. I will be doing a build review, as I've started with an out of the box review. I don't like leaving things half baked, so to speak. But yeah, we won't mention the P word. We always mention the P word, but we'll be getting back to that at some point, as
as soon as possible. But yes, this is the ERTL or AMT ERTL Naboo Starfighter kit. As you can see, she's actually quite detailed. Those lines, the fuselage underneath, are just beautiful. And if you notice on the tail there, the base of the tail, there's an outline that looks like the Executor Star Destroyer. And I don't know if that was placed there as an in-joke or an Easter egg, but if you all look at your Naboo starfighters, you can see this particular detail, which is definitely the outline of a Star Destroyer. As previously described, this kit comes with an Anakin Skywalker figure, but only an Anakin Skywalker figure. It doesn't come with a Naboo starfighter pilot, and it comes with an R2 figure as well. This model is painted in enamels, and it's also painted in ore-clad. The Anakin Skywalker figure. Oops. See if we can do a zoom on little Annie. He's actually quite detailed. On him I used acrylics, enamels and Citadel washes. The R2-D2 I used ore clad, and I used a metallic Tamiya blue to accentuate his panel accents. Beautiful little kit. Beautiful design. There's that Star Destroyer. See? That is definitely the Executor there. I would say that's definitely the Executor. I think that's something of an Easter egg. I wonder how many people have noticed that. But the Anakin Skywalker figure didn't take that long to paint. I let him dry. I let the paints cure and harden before I put the canopy lid back on, because I didn't want the canopy being ruined. It's one thing I hate, is ruining the canopy on your model kit after you've worked so hard to bring it to life, and then you just go and ruin it. So yeah, I was very, very, very careful to protect the canopy. I used Tamiya masking tape, and I used liquid mask to mask it off while I was airbrushing. This model was constructed as a whole. None of it was pre-painted. I tend to build and paint my models holistically, if that makes sense, or in their entirety. There's very few details that I actually pre-paint prior to assembly. It depends on the sort of model that you're building and the complexity of the model that you're building. But this model in particular was all assembled and then painted in one hit, so to speak, or two hits. One for the yellow and another for the ore-clad metallic paint. I've tried weathering this model. Not a huge amount of weathering, because the Naboo starfighters are pretty pristine looking ships, but I imagine after their little spat with the Trade Federation, those who survived come back looking a bit tarnished. So this one is, how can I say, tarnished and a bit beaten after a run-in with the Trade Federation Starship and Trade Federation droid fighters. So yeah. So I've just weathered it lightly, not over the top. There's the bottom again. See if we can just focus. Or should I say the underneath, not the bottom? Yeah, you are a gorgeous design. Now, nitpick coming up. Back back in the day, when Lucasfilm first previewed this design via the conceptual artworks of Doug Chan and Associates, everyone said, "Oh, I'm not too keen on this design. Oh, it looks too new. Oh, it looks like a speedboat. Oh, it looks like a car ornament or a car hood ornament." I was thinking, what the heck? It's no different to the aesthetic of the twin pod cloud car in terms of its curves, its ergonomic curves, its organic lines, the sweeping, graceful symmetry. You know, it's something that I absolutely fell in love with straight away. And back in the day, everyone poo-pooed it. Oh, it looks too new. Oh, it doesn't look Star Wars enough. And what bugs me now, the Mandalorian has a retrofitted N1 Starfighter, and all of a sudden, these ERTL kits, these fine mold kits, are in high demand. Everyone wants one now that the N1 has a bit of Mando credit. You know, I'm thinking, are we that fickle as human beings? You either like something or you don't. But yeah, ever since those two episodes from the book of Boba Fett, everyone's gone N1 crazy. You know, they're either wanting they want to retrofit this model, cut it to pieces. I mean, Rebel, Bandai, uh, who's the other guys? Rebel, Bandai. Oh yeah, and ERTL. They're probably going to produce retrofitted N1 at some point, but everyone's rushing out to buy these kits, which are escalating the prices from a mere £5.99 or $6 or $7 back in the day when I bought these, and when a friend bought me two Starfighters. He picked them up for something like £2.50 each. Yeah? Now these kits are going online for 60, 70, 80, 90, $100 just because of the Mandalorian. And that irritates me. That really, really, really gets my goat. And as I said, I've got 5 of these kits. I've got this one, which I've built. I've got 3 others that are in a box. And I've got my Finemolds in a box also. And I'm going to build them. I'm going to enjoy them. I'm just not going to flip them for a quick pound or quick buck because all of a sudden this design has got Mando credit. Yeah, that's annoying. That's annoying, and I think the temperament is a fickle temperament, and also I think it opens the floodgates to those who want to make a killing in terms of profiteering off these humble kits that nobody had, or hardly anybody had any time for back in the day. And they did hardly have any time for it back in the day. I remember up until well, 2016, 2017, these models were still on shelves, the back of the shelves. These models were just lingering on the shelves, and now everybody, thanks to the Mandalorian, is snapping them up and turning them over for as much as they can, as quick as they can. And I think that's just a bad way to be. I don't think it's very nice at all. But that's my whinge. That's my rant out. And I think on that note, well, we don't necessarily want to end on that note. But look how beautiful this kit is. Look how beautiful this design is. Yeah? Look at those lines. Look at that. That is pure deco. That is pure art deco. That is pure symmetry. Beautiful design. Beautiful design. Right then. On that note, until we come back with the build, this is the Naboo Starfighter. I'm Little Annie, signing off.